guys. Today I'm going to be interviewing Koatzin. Today is Transgender Day of Remembrance and Resilience, so first I want to honor that. And I want to ask you, Koatzin, what does it mean to be trans?
Greetings, folks. This is Koatzin. To me, to be trans means, as the event so beautifully sums up, it means to be resilient. It means to transcend normalized ideas of what gender is and what bodies should do and what it means to be a person. It means transcending expectations.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about the history of Transgender Day of Remembrance and Resilience?
Absolutely. So Gwendolyn Ann Smith was a transgender woman who came up with this day. It's actually Transgender Day of Remembrance to memorize Rita Hessler and other trans folks who have been forgotten and murdered over their gender presentation or gender identity. And every year on November 20th, folks get together and call out the names of the folks who we have lost over the year. This year it has been 26 transgender folk in the United States. And we wouldn't have this number if it wasn't for folks like Gwendolyn Ann Smith, who really wanted to make sure that the public was aware of the violence against trans people and transgender women in particular.
Great. How do you think Trump's military ban has affected trans people in the military?
Great. So I think that on the one hand, it has misinformed a lot of the public who may otherwise not even be aligned with Donald Trump's ideologies. I think that it has affected transgender people who serve in the military and serve in this country and who are able to get certain medical expenses, because it is very expensive to undergo certain procedures, to take that away from them, from the service that they rightfully earned. Yeah. And so I think that another thing too is that it just perpetuates this notion that transgender people are a burden.
Right.
So I think that that's the main one. It's trans folk are burdens, and they're an economic burden because we are paying for these surgeries. It makes no sense.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It's like people who are in the military who get diabetes medicine or whatever the case may be. It's like, are they a burden too?
Right.
You know, it's not the case, and it's not fair. So how do you think we begin to change this dynamic? Like, how can we get involved? How can cisgender people get involved to just maybe like change the way that this is going?
Absolutely. I think this message goes for cisgender and transgender folk alike, is that people's gender is not for you to police. People should have the agency to do and modify and express whatever they want to with their bodies. And I think if you are perpetuating notions of gender that have been informed by this dominant narrative of what man and women should be, then I think that is what hurts the larger population.
Right.
And so do not police people on their gender. It's really that simple.
Don't tell people who they should be. Let them be who they are.
Yeah, it's like live and let live.
Right.
But there's also this this notion that like transgender folks are like perverts, right? That there's perverted folk, and I would really advise folks to look up who transgender people are, right? To humanize our stories.
Right. And if we really want to talk about the real pedophiles, like, come on.
Right.
Like it's not transgender people.
Right.
It's not at all.
And
so.
I think that the facts like show that.
Exactly.
You know,
yeah.
so this whole bathroom shenanigans is ridiculous to
Yeah.
like blame a whole bunch of cases on trans women in particular who just want to, like, people just want to pee.
Yeah.
You know, I would say also like get rid of gendered bathrooms. Have
Right.
like stalls in like larger areas where it can be safe, like, you know.
Yeah.
And then another thing too, I think, is to think about the intersectionality of like gender and like race and gender and economy, and like people are really out here to get Black trans women. Like most of the folks on that list were Black women. Of the 26 people, the large majority of them were Black. And how does race and gender like work together, you know, to keep a group of folks marginalized?
Right.
So here's a quick what's it called? A quick website you can go to support trans women in particular.
Perfect.
And
Let
that
us know.
is it is the Trans Sisters of Color Project. Y'all can look that up. They have a Facebook page.
Okay.
So it's for Black trans women, by Black trans women, sharing narratives, stories written from their own perspective. And so I think it's really important for us to continue to read different narratives and affirm people's different experiences.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Koatzin. I really appreciate this. And I'm so glad to have met you and to have all this new insight now that I have. So thank you for sitting down with me, and I really appreciate it.
The pleasure's mine.
In honor of Transgender Day of Remembrance and Resilience, Koatzin hosted an event where she honored transgender people around the world who had lost their lives to violence and hate crimes. Hearing their names is truly impactful, and I really do hope that the people who hear this and the listeners are affected by this as well. I hope that this starts a conversation about the violence against transgender individuals. And I hope that we all can become supporters and allies to the transgender communities and stand with the transgender communities in times like these. These are their names.
She was 31 years old. Say her name.
Say her name.
Sierra McElvin, New Orleans, Louisiana. She was 21 years old. Say her name. Alfonso Watson, Baltimore, Maryland. She was 38 years old. Say her name. Shay Reed, Miami, Florida. She was 28 years old. Say her name. MX Bostic, New York, New York. They were 59 years old. Say their name. Cheryl Faulkner, Charlotte, North Carolina. She was 46 years old. Say her name. Ken McFadden, San Antonio, Texas. She was 27 years old. Say her name. Josie Barrios, Ithaca, New York. She was 28 years old. Say her name. Ava LeRae Barron, Athens, Georgia. She was 17 years old. Say her name. Montez, Corpus Christi, Texas. She was 47 years old. Say her name. Candace Towns, Macon, Georgia. She was 30 years old. Say her name. And to all